What is going on, guys? Jesse here. So today we're taking a look at a pair of headphones from a company that I honestly haven't heard of in quite a while, and that's moda with their new-ish Crossfade 3 wireless Bluetooth headphones. And this is actually not the first pair of moda headphones that I've had the chance to check out. Probably about 10 years ago, before I started any of this YouTube stuff, I had a pair of headphones from moda, and can I just take a second to say how crazy YouTube is? Like 10 years ago, I'm a kid just using these headphones, and now with this YouTube channel, as small as it is, I'm having companies like moda reach out saying that they want me to try out their headphones. That's pretty insane. But that is definitely beside the point. Today we're going to be taking a look at these pair of headphones, the Crossfade 3 wirelesses, which are not their flagship. They do have one set of headphones that do sit above these in their lineup, but definitely a very premium set of headphones. But before we really get into it, I just want to address kind of the elephant in the room, and that's that these are a $300 pair of headphones that don't have active noise cancellation. And at $300, they're kind of in that premium consumer headphone category that you would definitely expect them to have that feature. So in order to justify that price tag, everything else on these better be really good. So in the box, you're gonna get a hard shell case, the headphones themselves, a charging cable, and an aux cable for a wired connection, which these do support. You're gonna get 30 hours of playback per charge on these headphones, which I think is pretty competitive and about what I would expect from a pair of headphones in this price point. They weigh in at a little over 300 grams, which is definitely on the heavier side, but not as heavy as something like the AirPods Max, which are closer to 400, but not as light as something like the Sony WH-1000XM5s, which are closer to 250 grams. And I think part of the reason that they come in a little bit higher on the weight is because they really do have exceptional build quality and durability. Like the headband has the greatest amount of flex that I've ever seen on any headphone, and the hinge assembly, along with pretty much the whole headband being made out of metal, I don't really see any weak points on here, and it just gives you a lot of confidence to be able to throw these around and not treat them well and have the confidence that they're still gonna work. The only part that kind of concerns me is this exposed wire that connects the ear cups to the headband, because I can just see a lot of stuff getting snagged on here and just putting unnecessary stress on that point. And to me, it seems like the weakest point on here. And also just from a design perspective, it just makes it look a lot messier. You're seeing a lot of other brands nowadays embed these wires into the headband so that they're hidden and you don't have it dangling around and just looking a little bit messy. Now, as far as the rest of the design, I would describe it as pretty polarizing. It's definitely very different from anything else that you'd find on the market, and to be honest, it's probably not something I would usually be drawn to. It's got this sort of medieval look with these hexagonal shields, and I wouldn't say that they're bad looking or poorly designed. It's just very different from kind of the clean and minimal modern look that we're so used to with pretty much every other headphone nowadays. Now, obviously, if you order a pair for yourself, they're not going to look exactly like this because these plates are interchangeable and customizable, and they were kind enough to send me a pair that were customized with my logo and everything, and I gotta say, it looks pretty sick. So next up, we've got media controls. So on these, we've got 3 buttons on the top of the right ear cup for volume up and down, as well as media controls, and on the bottom, we've got a switch to turn them on and off. Pretty simple, clean, I like it, and they work pretty well. And I do appreciate how there are buttons on here rather than any kind of like touch controls, because I feel like with headphones or earbuds for that matter, touch controls are just so finicky, and every time you want to adjust the headphones, you end up accidentally brushing it and changing your song or whatever, and it gets really annoying. With these, you just don't have to worry about that, which I really like, but the only thing I do kind of have to complain about with these buttons is that they're a little bit like dead feeling. Like, you do get a noticeable click every time you press the buttons, but they offer pretty much no travel and just feel kind of dead. And last thing before we move on to sound quality is just that the comfort on these is just okay. I would say maybe even a little bit below average. Now, your experience in this area is definitely going to be different depending on the size and shape of your head and ears. But for me, it just really didn't hit the mark on the comfort. The leather on the ear cushions is soft, but definitely not as soft as a lot of the other headphones that I've tried. The foam cushioning is definitely on the firmer side, which I actually personally didn't mind and I see as a positive, but the main problem that I had was just that the ear cups weren't deep enough. And this is a pet peeve that I have on a lot of headphones that I try. It's just that when you put on headphones with shallower ear cups, your ears will touch the drivers, which over time can cause a lot of discomfort. And that was definitely the case with these guys. The other big issue comfort-wise that I had with these headphones was just that the clamping force was a little bit too much. Now over time it may get looser, which does happen on a lot of headphones, but this one does seem to be particularly firm. And that combined with the total lack of like rotational adjustment on each ear cup means that for me a lot of pressure is put on my jaw, which again over time can cause a lot of discomfort. So all in all, comfort wise, these just really didn't do it for me. Now arguably more important than that though, do these sound good? And I will say overall, I think the answer to that question is yes, they do sound good. But I wouldn't describe these as exceptional in any way really, and we've got that classic V-shaped sound signature. So first of all, the bass on these is actually really solid. You get those deep, satisfying thumps in hip-hop music, and it just gives that fullness to the sound that really helps out any genre. And it manages to keep it pretty tight without sounding too boomy and loose and out of control. And I think most consumer headphones do try to make this a top priority because it's the most noticeable part of the sound that most people are gonna hear and say, wow, these sound good. And you definitely do get that with these. Now, as far as the rest of the sound, the mids are definitely a little bit recessed and are a little bit overpowered and drowned out by the low end, but not to a point that I would say it's egregious by any means. And following that V-shaped sound signature, the high end is pretty exaggerated and can sound pretty harsh in a lot of situations when you have certain instruments or certain sounds playing at higher volumes. They do have an app where you can go in and adjust the EQ to be something that's more to your liking, but in my personal experience and with this EQ, they're just always really limited in what they can do. Like, the speakers are what they are, and just changing the software on them doesn't do a whole lot. And I tried all of the presets they had and tried to mess around with the EQ myself and just wasn't really able to get them to sound significantly better. I know this sound quality section is coming across as pretty harsh, but I think it is important to keep in mind that most other consumer headphones in this price range suffer from all the same problems. So this is not really like special in any way. Regarding like anything I just said about it, it really does sound very similar to a lot of the other headphones that you'd find. And I don't want to name any names, but I've tried most of the premium headphones in this price range, and I would say that sound quality wise, these can keep up with pretty much any of them in this price range. But the real question is, overall, do I recommend these? And that's a tough one. I would say that if this was like 5 years ago, this would be a pretty solid recommendation. But nowadays, there's just a lot of competition out there. Like I said, sound quality wise, these do hold their own and they can compete with any other headphone in this price range, but it's also not significantly better either. And when you take into account that this is missing a lot of modern features like autoplay pause when you take them off, or more importantly, active noise cancellation and everything that comes along with that, these just become a much harder headphone to recommend. So I think there are really two reasons that someone might gravitate towards these amidst everything else that's out there. And that's one, if you really like the look of these. They are very unique in their design, and I think to a certain kind of person, I can see why they'd be very drawn to this look. And two, the build quality on these is really exceptional. Like, I feel very comfortable just taking these and just like twisting them around and like doing all kinds of things to them because they just feel so rock solid. And I really do trust these headphones to last longer and take more abuse than other headphones on the market. So yeah, I think if those two reasons sound like you, then yeah, check these out. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.